Good morning and welcome to CNN, the hottest July day on record, with temperatures
Authorities have
hitting 36
confirmed a
degrees
deadly
in certain
virus
parts
that
of
could
the
be on its
country.
way to
Starting off
Britain.
with symptoms of the common flu, scientists are now speculating that this could be an even more serious
Yet again,
virus.
today police are receiving more reports of people behaving strangely and
Badly
people
injured,
showing
very
symptoms of
frightened
this
people are pouring in,
unidentified virus.
no exaggeration, by the hundreds.
Today the
And we're
EU
told
have stopped
that
all
most
travel
of the
to and
injuries are
from
bites.
European countries.
It's reported there have been around 7,000 cases across
The
the
government
UK.
has announced an alert level 6 and have issued a nationwide
Thank you for
lockdown.
listening. May God be with you all.
There were 7 billion people on Earth when the infection hit. Who knows how many are left now? I haven't seen another living person in weeks. Everyone who I once knew and loved is dead. 10 days before the infection broke out, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 brain tumour. I'm invisible to the infected. Maybe it's because they sense death in me, like a predator avoiding contaminated meat. I can't be the only one left. There must be others still out there somewhere.
Mr. Dawson, the doctor will see you now.
Thank you for coming to see me, Will. I've got the results of your x-rays and your test scans, and I'm afraid you've got a growth on the brain. I hoped it was benign, but further tests have shown it to be malignant, and I think we should operate as soon as possible. Now, there are dangers in this, there are risks, but without it, it can't get better. So
Everything went quiet. My heart started pounding. And I just zoned out. I couldn't believe he was talking about me. All I kept thinking was, how would I be able to tell people about this? How could I tell Sarah?
Hello, darling.
Hi.
So,
It's nothing.
you'll never guess where I'm into today.
I need to tell you something.
Okay.
What is it? You know you can tell me anything.
I don't know how I'm going to tell you this.
It's in the papers.
I'm seeing someone else. It's Jenny from work. We've been seeing each other for a while now.
After everything we've been through.
I know. I'm sorry.
Don't.
Sam. I didn't want it to be like this.
Oh, you didn't? How did you imagine it in your head then, Will?
If it could happen any other way, trust me.
Just don't.
I hadn't seen her since that day. What if I had told her the truth? I would have been with her when this mess broke out. I could have protected her.
Please wake up, Will. Please. Wake up.
Sarah. These cards are my father's cards. I take them everywhere I go. Do you know why? Because they're magic. So, Lizzie, where's the king?
You? I don't know you.
You see a lot of faces, Mr. King. How can you be so sure?
Hey, what are you doing?
Hold on, sunshine, hold on! All right, whoa, steady on, I'm leaving. Calm down, sunshine.
Bet even heaven has rats.
Do you play, Victor?
I don't need to win money.
And how about for fun?
All right, watch the suit. Oh, what a beautiful place you have here. Did you decorate it yourself, or did your grandma help you? She was a little bit of echo, though, isn't it? Echo. Ooh, nice and rough, just the way I like it, eh?
Are you gonna show up? I'm gonna make you show up.
Kinky. Nah, you know you really don't have to do that.
What do I win?
I thought you didn't need the money.
Your name. If I win, I get to know your name.
And if I win? I want one question that you must answer.
What question?
You'll find out when I win.
What's the game?
Find the king.
This isn't fair.
Falling at the first hurdle.
You know where the king is. I don't. How can I be anything more than the loser? There. Now we're on equal footing. You first.
Only 2 left.
I guess we're both losers.
Oh my, where is the king? Did he grow legs and run away?
All right, where is it? I'm sorry. There's some business that requires my attention.
This is just a massive misunderstanding. I wasn't actually going to take anybody's anything, you know, it's just...
You know who I am? You know what I'd do? When I moved here, to this city, I saw how beautiful it could be. A hub of life. But scum populated it. Filled it. I'm pest control. And you're the pest. You leave my hotel, my city, and my walls. Do you understand? Make sure he leaves.
Oh, Victor. Boo-boo. I have a message for you.
A message?
It's right there in my pocket. I get it for you, but I'm a little bit tied up. Come on, dive right in there. There we go, nice and deep. Oh. Well, is that the card you're looking for? You have no idea what's going on. Maybe you should check your safe.
No.
Lost something? Love the office. Feel like I need an evil cat to stroke.
Who are you? Where's my ledger?
Your little black book of dirty deals. Don't worry, it's in safe hands.
And what is this? What do you want?
Oh, you found the king. Looks like I have to tell you who I am. Lizzie Henderson. You don't remember who I am, do you? I can see you thinking. It's like watching a pinball machine. Henderson Law. That help?
Your father
helped people. You didn't like that.
I wanted to make this city great. Build something. Your father would have gotten in the way.
Your empire is about to come crashing down.
I won't lose everything I've built. This book proves nothing.
Oh, you thought we were after the book? The book is just the headline. The King of Hearts is the main story. I'd hate to be caught with a piece of missing evidence from a crime scene with my fingerprints all over it.
So, Lizzie, where's the king? Have you checked your pockets? There are 3 parts to find the king.
Alright, where is it?
First, his quick hands.
I'm sorry. There's some business that requires my attention.
The second is distraction.
I reckon I nailed it.
Go and push it, look. Hold on, mate.
Well played. Blow this job.
And finally, misdirection.
Throbbing. Can we not talk about it? I'm trying to keep my mind off the pain.
Okay. Can you remember your name?
Margaret Thatch.
Funny. Can you at least remember the plan?
Yes, I can remember my plan.
And?
Fine. We wait here for your pal drug dealer to get home.
Mr. Green?
Green, white, pink, whatever. Who the fuck cares? We catch him off guard. You hide behind the door. I stay here and draw his attention. You send him to the fishes.
Whoa, that wasn't the plan. I thought you were the one doing the killing.
Me? You're the one that's got beef with the guy.
Yeah, but that's not what we agreed. You owe me this for destroying my car. You're the reason I've got no money left in the first...
It's okay, it's okay. It's the intercom. It'll go away.
You've got the gun, right?
Ah, fuck. I knew I forgot something. Sorry.
You useless twat. What are we going to use now?
That? It'll be messier, but it'll do the job.
I don't think I've got the stomach for this. Let's just go.
Sit your cowardly ass down, Chip. Don't be a pussy. This is your only chance. He's not going to stop until you pay up. I mean, for Christ's sake, he attacked your girl. And you came to me to sort this out, remember?
It's not exactly going smoothly, is it? You've given yourself a concussion and we're lacking a decent weapon.
Well, have you got a better idea? And I do not have a concussion. See? 2 fingers.
That's not how it works.
Well, I can leave you to handle this by yourself if you like.
No, it's fine. I'm sorry.
Good man. Just try and be a bit more grateful, yeah?
Oh God, this is boring. How long we gotta wait?
As long as it takes. The fuck are you doing?
Snapchatting. Smile.
Seriously? We're about to commit murder and you're here taking selfies at the crime scene. You got a great future behind you.
I just can't stand this waiting. It's like fast food restaurants. If I go for fast food, I want it fast. Nowadays you face an agonising 5-minute wait to get your hands on that greasy goodness. It's false advertising.
You know what we need? Beer. Let's see what this unlucky bastard's got.
Doesn't look much like a drug dealer's house, does it?
What do you mean?
I don't know, I just expected it to be scummier. You probably shouldn't drink, by the way, you know, on account of your head injury.
Oh, fuck off, it's 1 bottle.
My dad always said that. He'd come home from work, first thing he'd do is grab a bottle. Mum would protest, knowing what he's like. He'd say it's just 1 bottle. Push her aside. Before you knew it, he'd gone through the full crate. Mum never did manage to stop him. He went off the rails and not seen him for years. Didn't even have the courtesy to show up at a funeral.
You were saying?
Never mind. Oh, I've got to straighten that canvas.
You fucking do it. You do it.
No, you do it.
Fine. Pussy.
Shit. What do we do now?
Be patient. This is just a minor hiccup in the plan.
Let's just go.
No, wait. We got this. We can't stay in there forever. What?
Weston, no!
Rapist prick.
Stop! It's not him.
Shit, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm damn well sure.
Well, how can you tell?
He's black! Oh, I can't believe this. You've killed an innocent man.
I killed? This was your idea. Your hands are just as red as mine.
Hang on. If he's the wrong guy, you sure this is the right flat?
25 Hudlin House, yeah. Oh.
Oh, you've brought us to the wrong flat, killed the wrong man, an innocent man, and you say, oh.
All these buildings look the same.
I trusted you, you utter fucking tit!
Look, maybe he's still alive.
Green? Yeah. I've got your money. I'll be at your door in 5 minutes.
Who was that? Where are you going?
I'm gonna sort this out myself. I don't need you, I don't need anyone else. All people do is mess up my life, from my useless dad to my useless friend. Well, I'm done. This is my life, my mess, and I'm gonna put an end to it.
On the map, in the middle of Spaghetti Road. I know there's a light at the end, but the tunnel, it seems so narrow. Trying to find my way, but my shoes is feeling heavy. They say I'm always dragging my feet. Now the world is measured on how fast you can get it. So I'm left behind before I can reach, yeah. Making a life for yourself, getting harder every day. Pressure to find a $1,000 city trying to find your way. Life ain't as long as you think, when it was up your way. Time ain't a father to you, and it will never hear you say. Surrounded, always taking part in the conversation of your soul. But just cause you like the way it looks, don't mean it's gonna suit you. Don't mean it's gonna suit you. No, it's not compulsory, and I'm not in a hurry. Could you say that in a few years' time? Before you even blink, the day is 10 to 9, and the ball will drop 13 times. Still you're wondering why, yeah.
How about it, Bernard? I'll let you lead.
I think I'll just watch.
If you're sure.
See you then, Bernard. Bernard, we wondered if you wanted to come and join us for a drink.
Like old times.
You don't have to.
You don't have to drink.
Julia's not drinking. She's on the warfarin.
No, I'm not drinking. I'm on the warfarin.
I've just said that.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe some other time.
I sit here as the light fades and your sweet voice it just replays in my head. dance again. Bygone days that meant so much. That first kiss as our spirits locked, I should have said, won't you dance again?
That was Richard Rogers with his song Dance Again. You're listening to Nice FM now.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go on.
I shall go.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. It's okay.
You're good. You're dancing, that is. Your partner, though. I think about getting a new one.
I hated dancing when she left.
Really?
Really. The uncomfortable braces. The shoes that mangled your feet. I only went for her. Every Tuesday, she dragged me onto that dance floor.
What happened?
She died.
I'm sorry. I'm sure she loved you very much. I dance too, you know?
Ballroom?
No. I mean, I can, but I love ballet. They're so beautiful, don't you think? The way they can command the stage. The way they're able to convey emotion through movement. Happiness, sadness, anger, guilt. It's a dream. I would give anything to be in just one show just for one day.
How does a ballerina end up being a cleaner?
Reality.
But you still dance.
Hard at times. Why do you dance alone?
To remember her. I don't think I could dance with anybody else.
You call that dancing?
Why? What do you call it?
Not dancing. Dancing needs two people. Come on. She would want you to. Come on, stranger, dance with me.
It's Bernard, by the way. My name.
Nice to meet you, Bernard. And Emily. Easy, Tiger. There's no music. Music's for beginners, Bernard. You've gotten used to dancing with your invisible partner. Just because someone has to leave, it doesn't mean they're gone. She's always with you. You've never danced alone, Bernard.
You're so past and my heart it stopped at the end. but unknown will dance again. But unknown will dance again.
Manchester has been at the heart of Britain's cotton industry since the 18th century, with more than 100 mills contributing to the 8 billion yards of cotton made in Britain each year. The city earned the title of Cottonopolis. Thousands of Mancunians had not only a stable income, but an environment of friendship and laughter as well. After the Second World War, the mills began to shut down, and by the turn of the 21st century, there was little left of Cottonopolis. Although the industry is now dead, the memories of those working there still live on in their stories, and also in a new play. The Pink Canoe Theatre Company, made up of 6 university students, has created Steady Hands, a play inspired by the tales of friendship and camaraderie from Manchester's cotton mill workers. Although the play encaptures a time almost half a century ago, it's surprising how much is still relevant today.
Hard times, cotton mill girls. Hard times, cotton mill girls. Hard times, cotton mill girls. Hard times everywhere.
All of the actors in Steady Hands contributed to the script for this project. Bridget spent many hours crafting the play and doing historical research.
So the play is centred around 6 female characters set in a cotton mill in the 50s, and it's set in one particular day, which is quite an important day, when at the end of the play you realise that the cotton mill's been closed down. It's essentially about the friendship of all these women and how the cotton mill, despite being rough and unclean and a terrible workplace, because of the friendships that they've made from there, it's devastating when they find out that it's going to be closed, and the audience gain a bit of perspective to know that they'd be lost without that environment.
So, the cotton goes in and the product comes out, totally transformed. We come in and come out again, the same.
Many other women went through the same situation as those featured in Steady Hands. At the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry, a living exhibition features former mill worker Carol.
I could never have had enough of the mills. The reason I left was because it closed down. So I started out sweeping the floor, and then I became what was called a doffer, then moved on to a spinner. Lots and lots of fond memories. I think mostly the camaraderie, because what you tended to get in the factory was it was a local factory. So you knew all the people outside the factory anyway. So there were friends, there were neighbours, so it was like just one big massive family.
The Pink Canoe actors wanted to make sure that this closeness between the workers was captured in Steady Hands.
Christ on a bike, have you seen him?
Is it Jimmy?
Who the bleeding hell's Jimmy?
No one.
What I do to him?
Nah, don't do it for me.
Oh, he is carrying a lot, isn't he?
Yeah, but Con, you don't do anything with big packages, do you, Con?
Shut it, Donna.
It was so important that we had the friendship so strong on stage. So the interesting part was that we were all friends working in the factory.
It was a really happy play. It wasn't a play just about like the sadness of these lives. It was kind of showing where they escape and where they come to get away from those issues and how friendship kind of gets them through.
Just like Carol, Maureen has many fond memories of her working life before she came to Salford University's costume department.
We used to have a laugh, and if you didn't have a laugh, then you hadn't done your day wisely. Mr. Leon was good fun though. He used to say to me, like, pin your knickers to that chair. I mean, you wouldn't say that today, would you? And I used to say, what makes you think I've got any knickers on? And he'd go, oh my God, Maureen, what you, oh, like this. But he knew it was just a joke. It was just fun. You know, nothing was taken serious. Yeah, it was good fun. And I used to, every night, especially from Jack Leon's, I used to ring up my boyfriend then and tell him what had happened during the day. And really, I wish I'd written it down because it could have made a good comedy.
When writing Steady Hands, Bridget wanted to make sure comedy played a big part in the script.
I think it's just important to have comedy if you're trying to get across a heartfelt message about friendship and love and loss and whatever you're doing. It's important to have those funny moments because it brings them closer together.
Oh, look at the smile on Doris's face. We all know what she's got.
A pickle! My Norm always makes me smile with a bit of pickle.
Yeah, Doris, does he tickle you with his pickle there?
He does, yeah.
Doris, honestly.
The experiences of mill workers gave the Pink Canoe Theatre Company a starting point for their characters. But for some of the actors, the characters they developed had a resonance with their own life events. Beth created Donna from a painful experience of her own.
When we first started the writing for Donna, she was quite a quiet character at the beginning. She didn't really speak a lot because she didn't come across very friendly. But as we developed her, we kind of got to know that she had this really bad relationship at home. Her husband knocked her around a lot. So to relate it to me, I have had quite a rough relationship in the past. So it was easy in a sense of relating back to emotions that I'd been through, but at the same time it was really difficult to try and keep it just for stage. You know, you're not letting the emotions come back and thinking of things that had happened to you individually.
I'm sorry, what did you just say? Well, yeah, he does like a drink, but then it wouldn't be a normal night for me, would it, if I didn't come home and find him passed out on the bathroom floor? I'm sorry. Have I made you feel a bit uncomfortable, have I? Has the thought of my husband passed out on the bathroom floor, covered in his own vomit, made you feel a little bit uncomfortable, has it? Like, the past relationship has always been really negative, where I've been able to use it now and create something really, really positive. And I've been able to put it into a piece of drama that I've absolutely loved doing. And I can kind of look back now and go, well, thank you for that, because it's made me do a piece of theatre, you know, and produce a character that I've absolutely fell in love with.
Each year in the UK, 1.4 million women suffer from domestic violence. Beth's character is just one of the ways Steady Hands brings an old story to a modern audience.
Because of how close we all were as a friendship group, you can take that and put that anywhere.
You could have picked it
in
up
any
and
sort
dropped
of
it.
time period, and it'd still be effective, you know. Yeah.
There's still people that are gay but can't really tell anybody. There's still people getting abused. There's still old people that don't know what's going on.
Or their family have died in the war, you know.
Young carers. Yeah, still people that are just completely oblivious to how terrible their life is.
I think it just pointed out the fact that in that time we couldn't really do much about it, whereas maybe now you could.
Got more of a voice these days.
Although the play could be placed at any time, the platform for speaking up about these issues was a day that many mill workers will be familiar with, the day the cotton mill shut its doors for good.
One of the big things with the factories, one of the main things that made it so bad when a factory did shut was because you had families, weren't there? So you would have mothers, fathers, children, grandchildren, an entire family could work in that factory. So when that factory closed, an entire family was out of work. Where's the future when such a big employer in that town is gone?
Nothing's made in Britain, it's all made offshore. You know, Manchester was a real hub, that's all gone. And it's sad.
Carol and Maureen have moved on with their lives after the mill and are now very happy in their new jobs. When the Steady Hands women lose their jobs at the end of the play, they have no idea what their future holds, but they do know that they have each other.
We're all suddenly holding hands, coming forward
United.
directly at the audience, and that for me was a really strong moment of, yeah, all united, all in it together. Yeah. We've all lost our jobs, but we love each other. And I think that was it was what was needed as well at the end of the play, to have that sort of closure for the audience.
Cotton mill girls, hard times, cotton mill girls, hard times everywhere.
Influenced by the experiences of women like Carol and Maureen, Steady Hands has shown us how we can still relate to those mill workers from years ago. We recognise the people in the play. They are our friends, our family members. The experiences are those of ours and others around us. What's important to note, what Carol, Maureen and the Steady Hands women have shown us, is that no matter what life throws at you, it has and will always be friendship that gets you through. Friendship that you will remember as the years pass. The Pink Canoe Theatre Company has created Steady Hands, not only to highlight modern issues, but to lovingly show us how to cope.
Cotton mill girls, hard times everywhere.
I needed something that took me away from the responsibilities of family life. So I needed something that I could just immerse myself in and forget about everything else. Once you open a hive up, you don't think about anything else other than those beautiful little insects crawling around the comb. And if you need that in your life, then beekeeping is definitely the hobby for you.
For thousands of years, all over the UK, beekeeping has been adored by many. The bees have kept up their side of the bargain by pollinating our crops and providing us with lashings of honey. But have we been the bee's knees and kept up our side of the bargain? Our actions have put our beloved Great British bees in danger, but now a chosen few are eager to volunteer themselves as a guardian of the bees. In Manchester's Heaton Park, there is an association of beekeepers eager to welcome those who have answered the call.
We teach here at Manchester Beekeepers for people to gain an understanding of the bees themselves, the problems that the bees face, and also the things that you come up against as beekeepers. At the moment we've got 9 colonies, but we run anything up to probably 20-25 colonies going through the season. Beekeeping is, it means different things to different people.
I'm in that phase of wanting to learn everything I possibly can at the moment. So.
And hopefully what I learn I'll pass on to my partner or my little girl, so as she grows up she'll understand the importance of everything that we're doing.
Great, and I mean, once you get in there, it's that fascinating watching them. You forget all about the fact that they might sting you and it could hurt, but just watching them is brilliant.
Come on girls, just coming in.
I like you talk to bees. I think that's
How do they
brilliant.
quite-
Lots of people don't do it. Yeah, we sometimes have bets on a Monday night where the Queen's going to be.
Here she is. She's here in the bottom left corner. That's it. It's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. It's amazing because they're such gentle, beautiful creatures. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
We've been guzzling our faces on this wonderful creature's oozing produce since the beginning of time. But how do bees make their delicious honey?
They'll find a plant which is secreting nectar, suck the nectar up through their proboscis, which is their tongue, take it back to the hive. They go inside the hive, and it's at this point that they do the waggle dance, because they want all of the other bees in the hive to know where they've collected that superfood from. It is mixed with enzymes which the bees produce inside their bodies, and then it's regurgitated and deposited into the cells inside the hive. When it's right, the bees know, and then they put a wax capping over it, and that keeps it as pure honey, and that's how honey's made.
Honeybees rely on their stores of honey to survive the winter. Unlike bumblebees, they produce far more than they actually need. Beekeepers get their honey by harvesting the excess. John Lockyer is an expert when it comes to extracting honey from the hives.
Welcome to my little world. What we're doing here is take this, as you can see, through the various stages to finish up with this. And we uncap and clean up in there. The idea is to preserve as much honey in here to be extracted in there.
But it's quite therapeutic doing this because it's just like repetitive and like, you have to get really into it.
Just keep licking your fingers. Just let it build it up slowly. And whilst that's going on, we'll have a tasting. So just come straight off the hive, dip your spoon in, take a piece.
It's incredible. It's so tasty.
Is the honeycomb tea?
It's so sweet.
Now this,
the wax is strange,
it's
but
wild
it doesn't taste
Irish
bad.
blackberry.
Surprisingly, not all honey tastes the same. In Derbyshire, Len Canziani is known as the bee man. He's taken taste to the next level.
With the honey, we sell a spring honey, a summer honey, we sell a creamed honey. The reason it's summer and spring is because as the flowers change, the taste changes. This is where we keep the bees, just the other side. They're only here for a couple of weeks, just while the borage is in flower. It's just around the corner here. This is the borage here that when it grows into a bush this big and produces a flower, is the one we use to make the wildflower honey. It's much lighter than normal honey, and that's borage.
We are a nation with a big sweet tooth, and Len knows where there's honey, there's money. Today he set up shop on Matlock Market.
Taste is 99% of it. You know, if we can get the customer to taste it, they'll buy it. Very rarely that they don't. You know, the honey is different because the different flavours. So some will go for the summer, others will go for the winter. Would you like to try some honey, sweetheart?
That's right, you can put marshmallows all over it, things like that, all melts, I love it. Kids like that.
Oh, that's beautiful, that one.
Good milk.
That's really nice.
All the food we make, we substitute the sugar for honey. And it's amazing how it changes food.
We can thank our fuzzy buzzy little friends for a lot more than just their honey. Our whole ecosystem depends on their hard work.
There's all sorts of statistics out there. One that I've heard recently is 2 out of 3 bites of food can actually be attributed to a bee pollinator.
bees are very important. At the Dower House here we have an exhibition, and in the foyer there you can see all the vegetables and things. If we didn't have bees and the other pollinators, we would have no fruit, hardly any vegetables within 5 years. Well, there will be nothing to eat.
The humble bee has kept up their side of the bargain, but according to beekeepers, we have not.
We have many diseases in bees now that we didn't have 20 or 30 years ago.
The Varroa destructor is the #1 threat to bees across the UK. This mite lives off the blood of the bee, although this is not the main cause for concern. Just like fleas during the bubonic plague, the worry is that these mites will spread disease from hive to hive, decimating thousands of colonies nationwide.
Every colony in the country has this mite. You have to be able to manage it, keep the numbers down. If not, you could have problems.
You see there's some here that have died through starvation because of the winter. You see how small. Oh, there's honey here. There's still some honey in there.
Not knowing why a colony has died could be a sign of something much worse.
And obviously at this time of the year, each individual bee is quite precious, so it's quite important that we don't lose any. Just taking her off the hive there. Just putting her on my hand to give her a little warm. Well, she may be just at the end of her life, so she would just hang around and maybe die in my hands. I don't really know. It depends how they are. She's quite happy. She's preening herself at the moment, just cleaning off. She's definitely more lively than she was when I picked her off there anyway. That's probably all she needed. Yeah, I'm guessing she'll take off again in a minute now. Yep, there you go. Gone. Another one saved. So she'll hover her way back to wherever she came from now. And back in with her mates. This year, particularly in the apiary, we've been revamping the garden especially. We've spent quite a lot of time over the autumn and winter months just putting some more foraging in for the bees so that we can extend their feeding time local to the hives. And that's something that actually anyone can do. If you've only got a little window box or a small planter at your front door, you can plant lovely pollinating plants for the bees and other pollinators.
Associations such as the Manchester Beekeepers inaugurate fellow bee guardians each year, crowning them with a protective veil to shield them from those they have sworn to protect.
We need more bees, so the more beekeepers we have, the more bees we'll have. That's the theory. As long as people know how to go about it properly, because if we don't manage diseases properly, the bees will start to die out again.
Spurred on by the warmer weather of spring, a rise of new beekeepers coincides with a population boom in the hives. The miracle of life, a new bee being born. A life which can do so much good for the world in such a small way. Another insect for the beekeeper to nurture.
Beekeeping's a wonderful hobby. Like no other hobby that I can think of, you can completely immerse yourself in it for however long you've got that colony of bees open in front of you. All the worries of the world just completely disappear. And really, if people could see what benefit to them that would do, which gives so much benefit back to the environment, the food chain, etc. It's just so wonderful, and there's all of that people don't get either.
Manchester, a city famous for its diversity in people, whether you're gay, straight, lesbian or bi. However, despite cities like this, there's one sexual orientation that's going missed and unrecognised. This is asexuality.
I haven't got a clue what asexuality is. Is asexuality where you don't identify with a particular sexuality or any sexuality?
I'd say it's somebody that doesn't really have a sexuality, someone that doesn't fancy men or women.
I don't know what asexuality is. I have no idea.
I suppose for some people it could be throughout their lives they're not attracted to anybody, I suppose. But I do have a bit of a difficulty in believing that asexuality actually exists.
The most common definition of asexuality is when you don't experience sexual attraction to other people.
Asexuality is sort of an umbrella term for people that don't experience sexual attraction.
I think the term can be used very broadly. I mean, obviously there's a basic definition of someone who has a lack of sexual attraction towards someone, but even within that there's so many different categories.
I would say that asexuality can be sort of a wide range of things. It's not just you feel no sexual preference whatsoever. It can mean you only feel a little amount and only on like rare occasions, or if you're after you've formed an emotional bond with somebody, all that kind of stuff. It can be quite wide ranged.
If you are asexual, you do not experience sexual attraction to other people, which doesn't mean to say that you don't enjoy sexual acts yourself. It's just you do not necessarily want to do them with another human being. But asexuality itself is a very broad church with a lot of different people identify differently to how they perceive attraction, romantic attraction and sexual attraction to other people. So it's difficult to pin down. I've been identifying as asexual since I was 14, which I think is a lot earlier than most asexuals do. And it just kind of was a case of, I knew before that I wasn't sexually attracted to other people.
Yeah, before I knew what asexuality was, I was lost, I think. I knew I was different. I knew I was different as a teenager, definitely. And it's only as I've got older and it's sort of got more obvious that I'm the way I am, that I realised that, you know, yeah, I am different. But yeah, growing up, it's a lonely experience, I think, when you don't fit.
When I was 14, it didn't seem like a big deal at all. It was quite scary at first, coming to terms with the fact that I wouldn't be looking for sexual relationships, and it's like, well, when I'm 30, what am I gonna do, like, with my life? But I got over that pretty quickly. I did start to seek support when the reality of sexual relationships set in, and when people showed some genuine sexual interest in me. I suppose my attitude to asexuality before then was kind of like, yeah, I'm asexual, doesn't affect my life, and I moved on. And then as I've grown up, sex has become much more important to other people around me, and that's kind of forced itself on my life.
Well, when I was really young, I wasn't really aware of what the term meant at all, or what it was. But when I started college, I did start to question why I was feeling the way I was. It was weird for me because all my other friends were getting into relationships and I wasn't, because of my lack of sexual attraction. And that's when I started looking for any sort of help and advice, especially online. I found a really useful website called asexuality.org. and on there I realised that I was an asexual, and in particular that I was a demisexual.
Basically what that's known as is you only feel sexual feelings towards someone after you've formed like a strong emotional bond with them. So usually that's after you've been with a partner for a while and you've got that close, that's when you start to feel those feelings.
I think being a demisexual, it can affect my social life in some ways. I mean, for instance, I do tend to avoid nights out quite a bit because it can make me quite uncomfortable seeing my friends pull other girls or boys, and I don't feel like I fit into that sort of group.
I wasn't going to sleep with someone just for the sake of it, so I went for years and I didn't have any sex at all, or boyfriends, and all my friends were like, what's wrong with you? You're a weirdo, this, you need a bloke, or do you need a woman? And I'd just be like, no, I'm all right. But I always knew there was something, just didn't know the name for it. I thought we were dating, and we weren't. He basically turned around to me when I told him I was pregnant and said, what am I going to tell my girlfriend? So yeah, but when I think about it, it does feel like it was meant to be. It feels like I was meant to have my son, because, you know, for one, I'm so obviously asexual, and we're really, really close, and I'm so lucky. I genuinely feel really lucky, because it's like the stars aligned in a way. And at the time, as a teenager, being pregnant, it's like the worst thing that can possibly happen. And, you know, I was on my own. So I brought him up from being pregnant to him being 18 and about to go to university. It's been me and him. And I look back and I just think, wow, you know, how many people get that opportunity?
I think the biggest issue has to be that not a lot of people are aware of what asexuality is. But even amongst the people that do know what asexuality is, a lot of them don't realise that there's a broad spectrum of categories within that definition.
I think that the asexual community is starting to follow in the wake of the trans community, definitely. As we say, there's a lot of media attention paid to the trans community at the moment, but quite rightly so, because they've been overshadowed for too long. And it's my hope that the asexual community will be the next group that that receives this kind of attention.
I think asexuality will become a lot more commonly known thing. I wouldn't exactly say that it's get more accepted in the fact that it's not exactly unaccepted now, but I think people will just know about it a lot more because they'll have actually heard what it is, and so people are like, oh, okay, when someone tells you that you're asexual.
I think we're at the very edge of exposing it. Yeah, I think we're right at the beginning of something, of education, of, yeah, definitely. I think there's a long way to go.
There isn't really there didn't seem to be a pressing need for asexuals to out themselves, and I think that if there was an active community, as there seems to be sewing itself together, then asexuals would definitely start to celebrate their own sexuality and come together. And I think that is happening gradually. I know that throughout my adult life, you're given diversity checks whenever you make a job application or a university application. They always ask your sexuality. And for the last 8 years or so, I've always had to tick the other box on these forms. And in the last year, all the forms I've received actually do have an asexual box under sexuality. So I think it is becoming more known about, and it's probably due to community action and people who are raising the issue.
The main thing I found here is that the 1% of people that are asexual want and need to be recognised. They haven't gone through the same prejudice that the transgender community or homosexual community has gone through. However, they still need exposure, and that is the most important thing for the asexual community today.
Friendships allow us to develop and grow as a person. With them, we learn life lessons and develop social skills which would otherwise be impossible. But what if the friend was invisible? The age-old concept of imaginary friends has puzzled experts and parents alike for decades. These fictional characters occur exclusively in the mind of youngsters. But why do we have them?
Imaginary friends are really, really good friends, like the best friends you could ever have.
Could there be a link with learning difficulties?
I don't think there's anything wrong with him. Don't think he's got autism or Asperger's. I just think he's special.
And is there a chance that imaginary friends are a link to people who have passed over?
They can definitely see beyond what the normal human eye can see.
Meet Riley. He has two imaginary friends, Mud and Nick, and ever since they appeared, they taught him a mixture of things.
He knows stuff like all of a sudden he knew the alphabet, and he knew colours, and he knew to count, and no one had sat and taught him. He was sat on the landing and he's going 5, 7, 8, not 7, no, 6, 7, and correct it so it was as if somebody had corrected him.
Sometimes, however, they do manage to get Riley into trouble.
You have to keep him outside on his own because he swears when he's around them. That's who taught him how to say naughty words. He say words that we'd not even say, but he has proper little conversations and you hear him all the time. Like I've heard someone go, Annie, and I've gone, what, you cheeky little get, to him, and he went, that wasn't me, that was Nick.
Good or bad, Dr. Karen Majors believes that imaginary friends have an endless amount of purposes for children during their early years.
They help them solve problems. When there are interesting things going on in their lives or new things like starting school or going camping for the first time, you know, they interact with the imaginary friend goes camping as well, and they're sort of processing, making sense of what's going on around them. I think some children are very sociable, and when friends aren't there to play with, they have their imaginary friends to play with. So I think that's a real skill in imagination that they can do that.
Surprisingly more common than you think, research shows that 12% of 10-year-olds and 9% of 12-year-olds admit to still having their imaginary invention.
In our culture, older children are very aware that people are going to think they're a bit weird if they have imaginary friends. So one girl told me, so I haven't told anyone just in case. And another girl said, I think my parents would be supportive, but I'm not sure. So really, they're much more private when children are older in our culture.
A lot of youngsters are open about their imaginary friends, telling tales of fun and adventure. But if an adult becomes too involved, they can disappear. Some imaginary friends disappear when a child goes to school. With more opportunities to interact and make real friends, they are forgotten quickly, sometimes overnight. Whatever the cause, they are all eventually outgrown. That's why the Museum of Childhood in London realised the importance of these creations and set about immortalising them.
We focused on the idea of imaginary friends and how we could bring imaginary friends to life, and the power of children's imagination.
Created and curated by children, the exhibition has stood out amongst the other more traditional items in the museum.
This isn't just a museum of old childhood toys, this is the future of children's imaginations. I've already seen the benefits of children going in and seeing the imaginary friends and being up close with them and feeling the power that a children's imagination can have, and I think they've all sort of been in awe of seeing something come to life that was under the child's imagination.
Not only does the campaign encapsulate the idea that imaginary friends can live on forever, but it also empowers an even greater notion.
Imaginary friends and the power of imagination is something so special and something to really hold dear to a child. Not just a child, but actually an adult can have a lot of imagination, and as long as you can drive as much imagination from whatever you see and do in life and immortalise it in some way, which we have done with child's imaginary friends in the exhibition, can only be a good thing.
It's here, in a museum filled with nostalgia, that it becomes apparent just how different growing up is now compared to the way things once were.
I understand why parents probably do put their children in front of a television after a long day, and I think technology can have its advantages but also its disadvantages, and I think it can be very solo and isolating, and I think that's not a good thing for children. The longer you can hold off putting technology in front of a child, the better.
The changing nature of childhood means that 38% of children under the age of 2 already know how to use smartphones and tablets. But their involvement with technology might not be as bad as people anticipate.
We're now thinking, what's the impact of technology in children's communication, so I think that's an area that we should be researching. So part of me thinks, yeah, it could have an impact, but also maybe they bring their imagination into characters that they're watching on screen.
Technology is also used to aid children with difficulties such as autism, but whilst it was once thought that they were unable to engage in creative play, a recent study suggests otherwise.
We now know that, I've come across children in different situations, so children with language and communication difficulties can have imaginary friends, traumatised children can, and interestingly some young people with autism actually do have imaginary friends.
At the moment, Riley is being tested for autism and Asperger's. However, Annie is not so sure.
He seemed to have a certain look, because he used to say it to their nana. I think it might be a bit behavioural, but that's because of influences, and I think because of him being the youngest as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I don't think he's got autism or Asperger's. I just think he's special.
Whilst the scientific community have done research into the subject, they're still a long way from pinpointing all of the reasons behind autism, Asperger's and ADHD. Because of this, many people form their own opinions, some of which differ greatly from what is believed to be fact.
My belief about ADHD, autism, Asperger's is that the names have been created because the medical profession don't really understand what these children are about. But my belief is that it's like bringing a very bright light into a very small dark box.
Inspired by a pseudo-scientific concept known as indigo, crystal and rainbow children, Nicola Farmer runs a Sunday school from her home in Essex. The concept is what she believes is the real cause of these conditions.
All children are gifted. One way or another, they're very special. But then you have children that are indigo, crystal and rainbow children. These children possess qualities of pure love, pure spirit, light, and they have the ability called clairvoyance, which is a French word which means clear seeing. This would be called by the skeptics imaginary children or imaginary friends, but they can definitely see beyond what the normal human eye can see.
Not all children with imaginary friends are thought to fall into this bracket, but the concept does inspire a thought. These inventions could be a way of connecting us to people who have long since passed on.
Because it's very difficult for adults to understand this, because there has to be a logical aspect behind it, this term imaginary friends has become very loose in its saying. But what these children are seeing are spirit energies that are able to communicate with them. And they could be made up of family members who have passed on. They could be guardian angels. It could be anything that chooses that child to nurture, guide, protect.
On the surface, Riley and his imaginary friends have a very normal friendship. But one day, he began saying things about his imaginary friend Nick, which sounded eerily like his uncle who died 10 years before.
He was getting in my bed and he said, "Nick's scaring me because he's got bleed in his eyes and he's crying in the paper and I don't like it." And he wouldn't get in bed with me, but when he did actually get in bed, he got in bed like he was moving away from someone and was scared, and he kept saying he's got bleed in his eyes, which he obviously meant blood, but my brother died and he was bleeding from his eyes. Which is Uncle Nick?
Nick. He's scary.
Is he scary?
Yeah.
Why?
But that's not all. It seems that Riley's cousin Chrissy is closer to him than Annie ever thought was possible.
He was singing a song and he said, "That's Mud's song, that." And it was Chrissy's funeral song. So I rang my Auntie Liz and I just said, "Did our Chrissy have a nickname when he was a kid?" And she went, "Yeah, Mud."
Amazingly, Riley even knows where his cousin used to live.
It's Derelicts, what used to be a flat. We were going past and he went, "That's Mud's house, Mud lived there." And that's where she used to live with him like 20 years before.
Imaginary friends can act as a catharsis for grief. If a child loses a loved one, they may invent a friend who resembles them. In Riley's case, though, he never knew them. And even experts have not entirely rejected the idea that imaginary friends could be a way of connecting friends, relatives, or even strangers who have died.
Some adults do feel like they're more of a presence, so can't quite explain what they are, but it's a presence. So I think there's the potential for some spiritual dimension to this. In some cultures, the imaginary being is seen as like a spirit guide. Maybe that links with cultural and religious beliefs about reincarnation, but the The sort of view there is that the spirit guide is helping that child in this world, and when they're not needed anymore, they disappear.
Spirit or psychology, imaginary friends are an outlet for creativity, and ultimately that is the most certain thing. Parents are switching off the screens and switching on to old-fashioned ways of having fun. But Nicola's Sunday school inspires creativity in a rather unconventional way.
I teach them to meditate. I teach them how to expand their minds. We do various exercises with crystals and angel cards and healing with each other, and this is getting them to be interactive, to work with their imaginations.
Creativity is one of the most important factors in children's development, but according to Nicola, it's not as easy to encourage as it once was.
So right now, children need to be nurtured creatively through dance, music, drama, drawing, painting, anything that you can find that is creative. And one of the biggest problems in schools is that the school system doesn't fit the children anymore.
Maybe one day we'll know for certain what imaginary friends are. For now, there is only the possibility of what they could be. They offer children a uniquely important friendship, and the one thing that we can all agree on is that imagination is essential and should be nurtured at every opportunity.
I think it's really good that children do have some space and time for themselves, and that their lives are not full of adult supervised activities when they're taken from different things. So I think it's important that children do have their own space and time to play creatively.
It's the people around you that have to really take the hit.
Why would anyone want to put themselves through -5 degree temperatures?
People would say to me, you're lucky, you're lucky. And I wasn't lucky, I had worked for it.
My name is Martin Robert Hall, and apart from being a sports fan, I'm also a specialist in motivation and sports psychology. In the early 90s, a team of psychologists from Berlin studied the practice habits of young violinists. By the age of 20, the elite performers had averaged more than 10,000 hours of practice, more than double that of the less capable. In the next 12 minutes, which represents 0.002% of the 10,000 hours, we ask the question, what does it take to make the elite sacrifice?
Here we go!
My father died when I was very young, when I was 4. And I think it was my mother who she had tremendous determination to keep farming, to keep going. And we all had our jobs. We all knew what our responsibilities were on the farm.
My parents were unbelievable. My dad was a rugby guy when I was 6 years of age, and I absolutely loved it. He was involved with one certain club. They didn't have an underage structure at the time, and their closest, most bitter rivals had a great underage structure. So he sent me over the road to the rival club, gave me that opportunity to get into an unbelievable setup. All of these opportunities, I've no doubt, contributed to who I am today.
Our next athlete started on her journey a little later in life. Has this hindered her chances of success?
Said to one of my friends, I think I'm going to give wheelchair racing a go. And she just couldn't stop laughing. She was like, Carly, this is you we're talking about. You don't do sport. You go out at night and you drink bottles of Prosecco and 20 fags. You don't do anything. And I was like, I know, I really think I could do it. All my brothers and sisters would go to football club and were very involved in sport as kids, and I wasn't. Even at school I didn't do sports day because I hated it. It was not fun to come last all the time against able-bodied kids.
Even those that have been practicing for many years still feel as though they haven't done enough and are always looking to improve. Jimmy Kelly from Manchester is in the process of regaining his WBO super welterweight title.
I don't think it was a natural, or maybe I was, but it just took a little bit for things to gel. But I just always did work hard, and I always did put in those hours. I'm 23, I've been boxing for 19 years, and I'll still come home from training and I'll say to Johanna, like, oh, I've been practicing this today. I've moved to a new trainer. It's like I started from the bottom, and again, I'm working hard for that. I think the gym that I was at last time, when I first turned obviously professional, it was like I was the new kid and I was at the bottom of the pile. And over the years, I worked my way up to fight for a world title, and I was like the main lad in the gym. It must have been like just a bad house in the area, because it was, you know, it was a bit rough where it was a bit run down, and it was a repossession. So yeah, we just pulled it apart, didn't we, from like scratch, all new plaster, new everything.
Coaches and support staff also subscribe to the principle of putting in the hours. Giles Hegarty, Director of Rugby at Macclesfield, talks to us about the sacrifices he makes.
Since I've had kids, you become more aware of what sacrifice is. Not necessarily sacrifice for yourself, but the sacrifices that the other people around you make. It's the people around you that have to really take the hit, and you have to make sure that you acknowledge that fact. You have to make sure that they know it, they know that you know. My wife is a very understanding woman. We've got a 21-month-old daughter, we've got a baby due any day now, so it's tough for her. You okay? She's an incredible woman, very, very tolerant.
As well as Giles being an expectant father, so is Jimmy. What will being a dad mean to him, and will it affect his pursuit of success?
Your dad's always your first hero, isn't it? And I think it'd just be nice to have someone to look up to us like that. No one be able to look after, like I said, the baby. But like I said, I'm dead excited. I can't wait. In the September that she's on the verge of giving birth, and I might be fighting that. But like I said, it's just for the better. It's not like I want to be doing. I want to be about there, and I want to be going through it all with you, and being there for you. But if I've got to go and make money, I've got to go make the money, haven't I?
Where you and I might see going without the odd glass of wine as a sacrifice, we find a different mindset in the athlete.
The sacrifices that we make to be a professional rugby player, they're challenging, but for me, as time has gone on, and I realise, I suppose, that it's a relatively short career in the grand scheme of things. My whole lifestyle has changed because of what I do, and if I was playing professional rugby or not, whenever the day comes that I retire, I will continue my lifestyle and to be healthy for day-to-day living, not just for playing rugby.
Well, the social life is just very different now, so it's very refined. A little bit of shopping on my rest day. Even then, I can't really exert myself too much. I can't do too much on my rest day because my rest day is meant to be my rest day. My career, it's still there. I'm very lucky that I've been given a sabbatical, and it's a paid one. So I haven't got the worry this year of trying to get myself through the sport. Before racing, my life was my career. For me, that was my ambition. I took it as seriously as I take Rio, but because Rio is obviously a much bigger priority, I've had to sack, my ambitions a little bit on the career side and focus on Rio.
Focus and determination are prevalent in all athletes. Although Carly may be physically impaired, parallels can be drawn mentally with Willie John McBride, one of the most physical rugby leaders to have worn the Lions jersey.
I got to the club and then got to the province and said, right, I've got to be better still. I want to play for Ireland. And I think it was that determination that came through from my background that gave me that go to try and be the best. I remember I would be selected for Ireland or I would be selected for the Lions, and people would say to me, oh, you're lucky, you're lucky. And I wasn't lucky. I had worked for it. I believe anything that's worthwhile in life, you've got to earn it. And I believe that I earned it because these guys were probably sitting in a pub or out enjoying themselves while I was training, while I was out running or doing my training. I wasn't lucky, I worked for it.
Elite performers have amazing support networks, but how would you cope if something happened to those closest to you?
I was only 18 at the time, and I know my mum was ill, and she was just said, just do what you want to do. So if you feel like that's what you want to do, just like go and do it. But my mum was getting worse and stuff like that. I wanted to box and I thought I wanted my mum to see me box professional at least once because I knew she was going to like pass away and that. And like I said, that wasn't to be, it's just went too soon. But she just said, just whatever you want to do in life, do it. Said if you want to box, box. If you want to go uni, but do that. But just make sure you do your best and it's what you want to do. I used to pack my bag and with my mum. And mum was obviously like, right, you're going away tomorrow. You're going here. So like let's make sure you're ready so you're not rushing in the morning. There was a gap of about a year when I broke my hand. Obviously I was looking after my mum, but I was still training. It was like I'd stay overnights at the hospital on the Lilo, and then I'd be up at 6 and then I'd go training, and then I'd train all day and I'd come back and sit with her and stay the night again. The day she died in the morning, and I went training in the evening.
Routines help athletes to control the controllables. Jimmy stuck to his routine through the most difficult of circumstances.
What was difficult for me initially was before a fight, because we are so close, Jimmy needs to be on his own and he needs to zone out, and I have to completely back off 100% to allow him to get into that sinking zone. That was difficult at first because we're used to being around each other all the time, aren't we?
Yeah.
And even the day on the fight, I don't speak to him the morning of the fight, really.
Sacrifices in the pursuit of success may well be infectious. Is Jahan even aware of her selflessness in her support of Jimmy? Where you and I may get closer to a partner, Jahan intuitively does the opposite.
I send him a good luck text message and then that's it. My life has changed, in a sense that I am quite an outgoing, sociable person, and on a Friday or a Saturday night, I used to socialise with friends and do this, that and the other, but since I've met Jimmy, I've found sort of entertainment in other areas, like we'll cook a nice meal at home and then we'll watch a nice film and then we'll have an early night, anything to get him to where he needs to be, really.
If I didn't have the ambition to get on the start line, I would have not really been that bothered about what I ate for a lot longer. A lot of my sacrifices that I've made for the VO dream have been the right sacrifices anyway for my health. Why would anyone want to put themselves through -5 degree temperatures in lycra tights? I mean, seriously, it's freezing cold. Why would anyone do it?
Being an elite performer takes so much sacrifice, but not for the elite athlete. You and I see that far more than they do. So if you want to start emulating your favourite sports stars, can you begin by giving up some of those things that you care about and make the elite sacrifice?
If you're not on form or things aren't right that day, you might end up in hospital like Nick Blackwell did and other fighters in the past have. You might not come home at all. So I think it's every time you go to the ring, you take that risk.
I remember captaining the 74 tour. I remember the second test at Loftus Versfeld, and I remember being in the dressing room and talking to the team. And I remember leading out that team that day, and the sun shining, hard grounds, I don't know, 50, 60, 70,000 people. And I knew that I had 14 guys coming behind me that were not going to lose. And that was the greatest feeling. I will never forget that feeling. It really was outstanding.
When we punched in for that try, for the fourth try, I got quite emotional. I'm still quite emotional now.
All right, well done, well done.
Because it's bloody hard work, and you're invested so emotionally in all of it, as well as obviously mentally and physically. 10:30 last night, I'm sat there in the dark with my little boy snoring and my wife asleep, my little girl asleep in the other room, and I'm watching a preview of Chester and making notes and that sort of thing, because that's the way it's got to be done. And there's a lot of time goes in and a lot of sacrifice, and we've talked before about
Put it on her.
the impact it has on your family. And to be able to share today with my little girl, and it just means a lot. But at the same time, you've got to suck that up, because it means absolutely nothing if we don't stay up next year.